wash away the toxicity.
When the passion in, the candles moving and the candles moving, and it's time for you to join the current. Here we go again. Critically drinking, stay thirsty, my friend. Burning the clouds and hoping never.
Hustle and grind culture is another version of it. I can sleep when I'm dead. You'll be dead.
It's showtime. Come in and have a drink with our whole crew. Come on and join the panel or draw from the chat. Do it how you wanna do. The misfit dudes keep the whole chat lit. Ooh, and soon you'll be a part of it too. So come back again, my friend, or we'll confine you. Here we go again.
What's up?
Critically drinking, stay thirsty, my friend. Burning love and hoping never. If it does, oh, we'll be back again. Now let's make one thing clear. Because of you is why we're here. You give us life, you give us love. That is why we want you get to our heart. Come and join the show, 'cause we need you to grow. So pull up a chair and share with us all of the things you know. Here we go again. Critically drinking, stay thirsty, my friend. Burning in love and hoping never. If it does, oh, we'll come back again.
And like the song say, hey, don't, I will come find you. Easy way. With a hard way.
Amazing.
I got my own platform. If I got something to say, I hit my live button, ho.
And of course, I always forget to take the overlay down. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Critically Drinking. I'm your host, Rashawn, but I have a couple of special guests here today. We have the Wireless Woman, and we have I Digress. Renee on the viewer's right and Jare on the viewer's left. How is everyone doing tonight?
Feeling good.
That's good.
Yo, who made the
Good.
music? What's
That was a stock song on Epidemic Sound. I wrote lyrics to it, and there's a lady, Princess K, who's around in like some of the panel spaces. And I asked her, I heard her sing one time on somebody's panel, like she was just singing a couple. I was like, oh, that voice, and I asked her to sing it for me.
Yeah, that was fire, man. Like we're not. Our stream is a joke now.
Stop it! Y'all set up is super
don't-
professional and clean. Stop
And-
it!
and
And all
I
I feel
mean,
is hate. What's
His
up with that?
listen, we know you have a huge podcast. I'm not here to diminish the size of your huge podcast. However, that intro music was enough time for me to go cook dinner for my son, come back. I fell asleep and took a nap, so I'm refreshed. I mean,
Wow.
it's like,
Wow.
30 minutes of the stream was that song. I mean, I have the most
So-
fire theme song out of everybody, so
It
you
is clean.
try.
It is clean. It is clean. 2 a days. Yeah, with Bree, thank you for being here. We got Inya in the building. Risa Neal hit the like on the way in. Certified Bop. I'm trying to get Sean to put that on Spotify. I like it. I like it. It's obviously too much for the Wireless Woman, who does have a very, very. You've got a very nice intro, and it's short and
crisp, I
sweet.
ain't gonna lie. It's short and sweet.
It
Like
is
yours, I could have gone on a cruise. I could have gone on a cruise
Jesus
to the
Christ.
Bahamas and back in the time that I was listening to your intro song. Just
Woo.
somebody
Boy,
like me puts me to sleep. Is it what is it, ASMR? What was it? But it's okay.
You know
It's
what?
okay. We're here
Some
for
people
you.
just don't have any culture.
We're here for you.
That's what it is. I appreciated that until we hit the live button. Until we hit the live button.
I
All
told
of a
you last
sudden,
time, don't bring me back with that music. I don't know what you said. It's okay, because when you come back to my podcast, I got something for you.
got you. Okay. So everybody, ladies and gentlemen out there, I appreciate y'all being here. I know we had a longer stream earlier today that was unexpected, took unexpected twists and turns. But tonight we're just going to have a much more calm and civil conversation with I Digress, and we're going to have a much more contentious conversation with the wireless woman, obviously. But I really do appreciate all of y'all for coming tonight. I do want to ask you all, as fellow content creators, the first question I have for you is, how did you all begin your streaming journey? Let's start with I Digress, if you don't mind, and then come back to the wireless woman.
Oh man, ours was an accident, kind of. Yeah, we I was doing some other video stuff and I was trying to figure out like a more mobile kind of podcast setup and I just got bored of like testing the video set and hitting record and just looking at me doing nothing. So then I was like, I'm gonna just fake react to something so I can actually have. And then like we was actually reacting, and I was like, Dre, why don't you come? Because I'm bored talking to myself. And then yeah, here we are.
That's kind of cool, though. I mean, backing into it is probably the best way to do it. I mean, because I know some people that are intentionally wanting to get into it, and I'll be like, no. But the wireless woman, what about you? How did you begin your streaming journey?
Let me just say, I love the Childish Gambino in the background. It's giving me life.
Oh, you can't
Um,
see the thing.
I can't see. I can see.
Oh no, I can't. I don't have the full thing. Never mind.
No, I see Erica Badu back there. Nice
Erica
little.
Badu, Lauren Hill.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's the type of music we want to hear. Not something that's like we rode a boat, to an island, a private island, um, where
On Twitter, we're calling it Harry Coochie music. So
right.
I don't know how I feel about that, but
That was that I couldn't put it in words and now I have them. So you know that I was married in my second marriage. And it's funny because you said that I was a hater of men. I am not. I am a liberator of women. That's a totally different concept. And I had an epiphany. I went on a wireless journey. I had no GPS, no phones, no social media. As a matter of fact, this was right around the time of the election and the insurrection. So like people are literally coming outside because that's where I live, like shooting off guns. I'm like, what's going on? And I had to turn on the TV and I just knew it was Armageddon because I was like, wait, they're storming the Capitol. Like, can you imagine being in radio silence and then turning on your TV and seeing that? It's like, what did I
No,
miss?
that'd be crazy.
What did I miss? So yeah, I was going through like the pandemic and like all of the chaos of 2020 through 2021, completely on mute, completely isolated, going on trips, sitting on mountains, talking to God, and finding out that I was God, in a sense. And so that was how I started podcasting. I woke up one morning in the mountains and I just heard the wireless woman. Didn't know what that meant right then at that moment. But as time unfolded, God was like, go back down this mountain with these stone tablets I gave you and share with the people what I have revealed to you. And I'm revealing it like a little bit at a time, but I'm hoping to not go full Thanos, full Magneto energy like Rashawn one day and people not see it coming. Like I hope it rolls on. It rolls slow like bourbon. That's my hope.
Got you. I just want to just briefly tell you, I know there's a quote. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but I know you said you're the liberator. But one person's liberator is another person's oppressor. So, just keep in mind that paradox. Keep in mind that paradox as you go liberating the women's. But
That's heavy.
yeah, because sometimes that dynamic, we overcorrect sometimes.
This was the Thanos energy. I just want y'all to know he came over on my podcast and did this. We were podcasting on Tuesday and we was all right. But if you come for me today, I put it up here. Malcolm and Magneto were right. I'm Magneto tonight. Don't do it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it.
Listen. I'm gonna just kind of stick with your content journey briefly. But how, as far as the both of you Because I know all of us have like different paths, like ebbs and flows to the content creation game. But how long have you been consistently producing content on your respective channels? And let's reverse it. Wireless Woman, and then I digress.
I've made a commitment to be consistently inconsistent.
Okay,
That's my commitment to people who follow
to
me,
the
is
people.
that I have to give the people what they want, and what they want isn't me all the time. Sometimes they need breaks. Um, so I've actually been on the channel for 2 years, and I've only been podcasting out of those 2 years about 5 months, because I take a break every 2 or 3 months. Anytime I feel myself turning into the dark side, and I feel myself being pulled into the dark side of the force, I just take a
Okay, that's reasonable. Renee and Jure, what about you
I think
too?
I think it's like 2 years for us, but we've been on
Nah,
and off as well.
not even
It's a year now.
a year. It started in November, and then we got this set up in January, and then so it's been like a year and 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, but we've taken months off as well. So I
I
mean,
don't know if it can. Yeah, I don't know if we can count it as consistent
we
necessarily.
I just started trying to get consistent, but like
break. Yeah.
life be happening. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. And I don't
You
think you
know,
bring anything authentic like that. I think that's how you turn into like a stand, like how you get people like Kevin Samuels that just all of a sudden
oh,
like
we got a
are
hater of
leading
Godfather.
people,
Yes.
that are leading
Oh
people in the
no.
darkness because they don't self-evaluate. Like, you gotta take time away.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I told him if he keeps saying Kevin Samuels on this podcast, the Candyman is gonna pop up behind him in one of these frames. That's the only reason why I still
Say it three
watch.
times in the mirror.
That's the only reason why I
Yeah.
still watch. I'm waiting on it.
I'm not sure why you hate that man so much. He's gone. He's
But you
gone.
gonna bring him back from the dead if you keep
He's
saying his
not
name.
really gone. He's not. He's not
He's
gone
not.
enough. If we had a whole
Yo,
birthday party for
that
him a
is the
couple days
Now
only
that was
ago.
me.
black person I've seen people celebrate his death. I've never
Right.
seen that in my entire life. And I'm not that old, I'm gonna give you that. I've never seen people celebrate any black man's death. I was like, wow. Talk about an impact.
Yeah. He definitely got the people going. And hello, Greg Bryant in the building. He said, "Give me more content, Jure. They want more, more, more,
Shout
more."
out to you, Greg.
Yeah. Now, as far as the way we interface with the algorithm, the algorithm, the internet, the YouTube, how it feeds people. Do you feel the algorithm is efficient in finding and matching viewers to your specific styles of content? And has it properly captured and categorized you and what you put forward?
No. I I don't fully understand the algorithm. That's part of what I've been trying to do is figure out how the algorithm works. I think there's a couple of things going on in my mind. One, you can't really choose the your audience is what the
Mm,
one thing the algorithm is showing me on one hand. On the other hand, you can't really choose your audience. You know what I'm saying? It's a two-edged sword. And so like I remember when we started, we were kind of like Wireless Woman, where like first of all, on social media in general, like I've spent years off of social media. Like I'm talking about, I might as well had a Nokia flip phone. Like I wasn't attached to anything. So when we got on, making these videos, whatever, I wasn't that tied in. I missed January 6th. I didn't. I remember I was talking to a group of people and they were like, "Yeah, January 6th," and I was just like, "What happened?" And they were like, "What?" So I kind of wasn't tied in. We started posting content like I guess like some of the content we post is conservative, some of the content we post is not, and we'll figure that out in the comment section because the liberals would be mad at the conservative content, the conservatives would be mad at the liberal content, and it's just kind of it is what it is. Like, so I think if we were more niched down, the algorithm would reward us, but we're just not. So
I get that. What about you, Wireless?
That's what I was gonna say. My goal. I'm anti algorithm. I'm anti a lot of things. I think if the algorithm started to work for promoting my content, it happened to me one time. Like I had this one moment in time. I had this one moment where I had a video that hit. Okay, the hive was buzzing. The hills were alive with music. And like my next 3 videos was catering right to that, and I'm so glad that everybody came back and unsubscribed because it was gonna lead me down a path of self-destruction. You see what I'm saying? Where I've gained the whole world, but in the interim, I've lost my soul. So I think it's tough when you're not a niche-based person, but the journey of the wireless woman is to deconstruct things, and what I reconstruct in the space where I deconstructed something is an alienating force because you know me, I climbed a mountain and then I turned around, you know, you know, Fleetwood Mac fans know. So if I climb this mountain and then I turn around, I don't want people to feel like, you led me astray because I'm prone to hypocrisy. I am passive aggressive. I'm prone to being more than one thing, multifaceted. So I'm hoping that eventually, if a tribe forms, that it won't be this Jonestown cult type of situation. It will be people who challenge me and I challenge myself, and we're able
Mhm.
to make changes as we get more information. That's my hope.
Okay. Okay, I like it. And I like how openly you are admitting the hypocrisy. I thought I was gonna have to create a whole second account without my face and name on it, just like
Just to
get
make
into
comments about my hypocrisy.
yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that's
yeah.
what I was gonna have to do.
Well, the
You
one thing
saved
I'll
me a burner
never
account.
do, the one thing I'll never do to my viewing public again is have you ambush them, have you jump out of a bush on them like you did the last time you came over. So I'm gonna have to keep working on you
Okay, so
before I kill you.
let me catch I digress up. So when we had a conversation, we talked about similar to some things I've seen on your channel. We talked about like how economics is landing on men. And because
Mhm.
of that,
Yeah.
one of the concepts that I have, this is just my idea of
You gonna
a
pull out your
solution.
huge podcast for everybody to
Just
see it
a
again?
solution. And listen,
You gonna pull it out again?
it's just a solution. If so many men are economically displaced because of the inclusion and the advancement of women, one way, and I'm not saying it's the right way, one way to handle that would be to remove women from the workforce. If that's the competition, then removing that would just mathematically create more opportunity. There'd be more available for men. And wireless woman just lost it. She just lost it. So
Okay,
again,
wait, hold on. What would that look like? It depends. I might be with it. Hold on. If I get to
No,
like
no,
stay at
no.
home
He
and make
took it
banana
one
bread or
step
something,
further. He took it
what does
one
that look?
step further and proposed Title IX for men. He said men need to be incentivized through.
Well, well,
It
let me. Okay, so wireless woman, why'd
Mhm.
you? Why? What about men needing to be incentivized? Maybe not that solution, right? But what about
Yeah.
that sent you
Well, I'm not upset. I'm not incensed as he would
incensed? Amen.
I'm
Uh-huh.
not incensed, you see. I'm unbothered. My motto on my channel is unplugged,
Mhm.
unbothered, and unleashed. So my issue is not men needing to be incentivized. My issue is that men being incentivized is a man's problem. They created the system to balance things out, to level things out, and measure things out. So I believe that racism, misogyny is just racism sexy cousin. Okay. So the
mhm.
same way that whites could say that, affirmative action did all these things for black people. And, it's easy when you're outside of a population to say what the solution is. Okay. So
Mhm.
men engineered this solution and now they have a problem with it. And they feel that it is our job as women to somehow participate, to somehow participate in reverse engineering the issue that they cause. If it had not been for
Mhm.
misogyny and patriarchy in the first
Mm.
place, there wouldn't these were your systems. These were your systems. We're over here going to college. We were incentivized to do it and we did it.
Right.
Mhm.
I thought
Mhm.
I could, so I did. So
So
I
bring
don't
that incentive
understand
back.
how any of that has to do, any of what you're talking about has to do with the ladies. I'm actually more soft life than people think I am.
Come on, that's what I'm saying.
But here, okay, so that's interesting. My bad. Are we hijacking? I know you have
Come on.
questions.
I open up the
Okay,
conversation. Yeah, yeah.
so so we were just talking about this in the Discord, and
Hmm.
a couple things. First thing about the men making the system. I think it's a small group of men making that change. So I don't know how fair that is to throw it on everybody. Second, it's a pretty not misogynistic change to make if you think about it. So, I mean, I think there's a lack of calculation of the cost of it, and I don't think this is the sole reason for it. But the reality situation is that although society has changed, we haven't changed very much at all. So women still want men that make as much or more than them, which is fine, but we've increased what they make, so that's just naturally priced a lot of men out. And so is it on women to change that system or do anything? I don't know, but it's also equally as weird to tell the guys on the bottom that had nothing to do with that change to
There you
change that
go.
system as well.
There you
You
go.
know?
But I would challenge what you said
Okay,
without
go ahead.
trying to hijack and commandeer and say women don't want men who make lots of money. This is
Well,
the
I didn't
sound
say
bite. Just so that you
lots.
know, Rashawn, this is the sound bite. Women want men who conquer other male groups of men. Y'all get out there and blood sport that thing out. Get primitive because, like you said, times have changed, but people have not changed. At the end of the day, white men, okay, because y'all take care. White men created a system they could excel at by industrialization, technology, new media. If we go back to agricultural days and really even early industrial days when you still needed a smith, when you still needed, because unions formed because black labor was too formidable. Okay. So if
Right.
we go back to days where the strongest man, not saying it's not like it's not as smarts in that, but if we go back to where we actually compete for the scarce resources, that's the man that women want. Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, not the Title IX man.
wait,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I'm trying to understand what you mean a little bit. I don't
You
fully
you
grasp
can't
that
help.
idea.
You can't help.
Okay.
You
No,
you
well,
can't
no,
grasp what she can't grasp.
no, she's saying something. I take that on me. What do you mean by that?
All I'm saying is, if the money is scarce, and see, you have to understand, I work in finances, so I know the
Mhm.
money is fake. It's not even real. We're out here competing. People are saying, "Oh, I'm going to be the next millionaire, baby." When you get a million, then the billionaires will be trillionaires, and your million
Right,
dollars, you'll be able to
right, right,
dance around the
right.
bonfire of burning your $1 million at that
Yeah,
point. Okay.
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is the resources are scarce. So if we, like me, I'm looking for a revolutionary man. That's the man the man who says there's a little bit out here and I'm going to go and get it. That's what will give me access to soft life. Money is not going to give me access to soft life. And the only way to go get money is to conform into this system that was made by these men you said were the ones that were responsible for oppressing us all. So at a certain point, we have to strike the system and not continue to integrate deeper into it by saying, oh, high value this, high value that. That's why my issue with Kevin Samuels came forward, because I don't care how high value he is. At the end of the day, if we're all sold into this system and I'm just following you up a ladder to hell, we think heaven's up there. And I know, because I sit with those white men in those rooms and I talk pure mad smash trash to them. I'm pretty sure they're going to take my job eventually. They're going to find out about who and what I really am, that I'm in there. And because I don't code switch for them. And I'm just in there to get stuff and take it out. I'm looting them. And so I say that because I know the system. I know the system is completely unsustainable. So I'm really looking for a group of men who say, you know what, that's enough, and go full Nat Turner on the situation. Because the January 6th insurrection was that. It was the people who saying, we're not going to go along with what y'all said we're going to do. We're going to do our own thing. So not necessarily like violence, even though that would be nice. But we definitely have to become more militant, and those are the men that are going to be the ones that are followed. that are
I
submitted to.
I'm sorry, Dre, did you?
Yeah. Okay. Couple things. Here's what I'll say. Okay, because I'm feeling all the soft life vibes. I don't want anything harder than sponge at this point. It's like I'm here. I'm at the bottom. Okay. There's two. Okay. As far as what you were saying, Rashawn, removing women from the workforce and incentivizing men to be in the workforce, it sounds a little like backwards to me. It sounds counterintuitive,
Okay.
because the removal of women from the workforce, it sounds like a punishment. So there are
Of
these
course. Yeah,
people
of
in this
course.
place, of course. Of course.
It's going to sound like that. Yeah, it's going to sound like that. Absolutely.
Okay, so there are these people in this place. Let's switch it up. Let's say we're talking about south of the borderers, right?
Hmm.
We can either kick them out, or we can just incentivize them to leave. So if we put funds into, or distributed it's, into their economy some way, or made the place that they're coming from more bearable so they don't have to escape here, then they wouldn't escape here, right? Not that I'm saying that should happen, just using it as an example. So it doesn't sound like something where men should be incentivized to take the jobs that women have. It should be that women are incentivized to stay home. Women should be incentivized to leave the workforce. So here's what I'll say.
It's kind of this. Okay,
It's
The
it's
not,
the
same
Pray
well,
for
thing.
president.
That's
incentivizing
it's
that's
the
men,
same thing.
half
it
dozen.
results in the same thing, versus it's like pricing men out, in a sense, giving men more of an incentive to take a woman's job, versus giving a woman an incentive to leave a job behind for a man to be able to take, are two very different things. So here's my thing, right? Because we've talked about the black woman in choosing daddy government over the man and kicking the man out. Here's what I'll say is that women want a man that makes 30% more than her, at least, right?
No, as much as her, or to
But
25%.
on average, like
On
that's
average,
the
25%.
on
Yeah.
average,
Yeah, that's
it's
solid.
somewhere around 30% more. So, what I say is give that man what you were gonna give him. That man makes that 30% more, and then give him like an extra 30% bonus. So now that 60%, it's like pretty much both of us could go to work. You make more than me already, you know, give you an extra bonus for me to stay home, because it's like the military. It's like when you're married, you get paid more. That's why military people pair off
There you
after.
go. That's the
So
incentive. Take care of women and
see,
children. There's the
and it
incentive.
does two things, right? It does two things. Now there's an incentive for people to get married and have families and have kids and do the thing.
I
And
needed you
there's
on my
also,
channel last week. I needed your help. I needed you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm here. I'm here for the future. Have me on. I got you. But I'm just saying, you want me to stay home, low key, high key, high key. I want to stay home anyway. I want to not worry about these funds. If you could make the 60% or whatever, let's say I make $60,000, and so I want you to make at least 80,000, or I want you to make at least $90,000,
Mhm.
right? If they just give you $120,000 and I stay at home, that'd be fantastic. Although that's less than your 90 plus my
So
60.
you're advocating not for removing women from the workforce, but a wage gap.
I'm
Okay,
not advocating for a wage
that's
gap.
that. No, no.
Oh,
I,
You,
yes,
I'm
you.
No, it's more of a
yes, you
grant.
are.
It's a
It's a
grant.
wage gap.
It's a grant.
It's a wage
That's
gap.
How is it a
that's a
wage
gap.
gap? It's not a wage
That's
gap if I don't go to
You're,
work
you're
at all.
granting a wage gap. You're
yeah.
granting
It's a
a
wage gap.
wage gap.
She
No, not
said,
really. How?
she said the
How is it a wage
woman,
gap if I'm staying at home? Because it's
she
like,
said the
okay,
woman staying at home. You asked us to leave, and she's saying incentivize the leave because here's the truth. Everything in the U.S. economy right now. Okay, so they overshot it. No one wants to get married. No one wants to provide for families. They recognize what they did, but because we don't have any black economists in this country, we've only had two in the whole entire history of this country. Their thoughts about how they fix it is now to base everything off of at least two incomes. So you can't afford a house without two incomes. You can't afford your life without two incomes now. And their thought was, oh, well, they'll couple up. They didn't understand that people would just move into tiny houses so that they could stay alone forever. So they overestimated it. And the thing is, she's saying incentivize the fact that if a man is going to be the sole provider in his household, that he would make more. Just
Yeah,
like if
no,
women,
that's
and see, if you asking me, I'm going to come back and say women who are providing for their whole entire household, who got a husband on the couch, should get the money as
Yeah,
well.
that's what
that
Bree was saying in the
that's
comments.
fine, but we just spent 40 years fighting against a wage gap.
But
And
how is it a
Mhm.
wage gap? Like, can you explain
that's
to
what
me
it
if
is.
it's a wage gap? If I am working and you are working, we work the same amount, we work the same job, and you
But
are
I get
making
paid
more.
more. That's
That's
literally,
a wage gap
yeah.
versus you get paid what I would get paid, but I get to stay home and you can take care of me.
No. But what I'm
How
saying,
is
what
that?
No, but
Okay, I
sorry.
see. I see.
No,
I
but
see.
those who can do, but those who can't teach. So your economics professor is a professor, not an economist. There's a difference. We've only had two black economists. It's like being an astronaut when it's very difficult to break into that level of being a part of like the government economist. They talk to people at the Fed, they talk to people, they don't talk to us. I'm just saying, and black women are the only ones who can make a dollar out of 15 cents. We would fix this deficit problem like in two administrations if they just got like five of us. Like we'd be like those hidden figures women. We have it all fixed up in like like two terms.
okay, so it's a couple things. I think Bree you just put up a comment by Bree, right? Can you put that
Yeah,
up again, Rashawn?
this one.
Remove I'm sorry, you can read that. It's your, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Remove gender, and it's not gender wage gap issue. It's an incentive to marry and have one partner home. That's fine. That sounds great. It feels good in here. But in
Mhm.
reality, what we've seen is that women don't want to stay at home dad. So really this stay at home would be coming from one side, right? And just to go back to
Mm.
the Kevin Samuels thing, right? Wireless woman mentioned Kevin Samuels and high value man. I think what's important to like really think about when it comes to the Kevin Samuels thing is that Kevin Samuels is a reaction to what women have been saying that they want. Men didn't decide that six figures was the golden standard. Women did. So all Kevin Samuels did was say, okay, y'all women want this. What does that guy want? So I don't think Kevin Samuels pays the value of a high value man. Trust me, there's a lot of dangerous Dick Rodneys at at their mama's crib. Huh? Is that all right? Dangerous Dick Rodney's just slanging, wearing them out.
Mhm.
When it comes to like women and what they say what they want in a partner, they're saying that we need these standards for a man. If you want put a ring on it, blah 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 blah. We have these standards. Okay, fine. When we get down to those standards, we say, okay, there's a finite number of men that actually do this. I'm not even saying that everything that women get on the internet and claim that they want is actually true, right? Because
Yeah,
I said this
because
before in a video,
no.
I said, find me a chick that's saying she want a guy that makes six figures and tell her, show me your exes. And let's see how well history is lined up with that, right? So, but all that being said, we come back to the center of the thing. Kevin Samuels or not. Um, I don't think we've really thought about the cost of it all,
Hmm.
which is pretty common. And it just so happens that we found out that the cost is that women are not willing to settle financially the same way men have. So it's not
Hmm.
equal in that sense. It's just not,
No, I
it didn't go
disagree.
across the board the way we thought.
I
You said what?
disagree. I disagree. I
Okay,
gotta push back.
okay, go ahead. Let's hear it.
We gotta go all the way back and start back with Dangerous Dick Rodney because this was what I said to start. The reason why Dangerous Dick Rodney, why DDR has so much appeal is because he is that guy who can take that scarce resource. He is that guy that will compete in an open market for a woman. And I think there's a culture dynamic in this because, you know, I'm the race person, even though we're in a post-racial society, from what I hear. And the whole concept of high value came in with white women coming into the dating pool for eligible black males. They're the ones pushing this narrative because they're the only ones who actually can. Um,
No, it's Tom Likas in AM radio is where High Value Man came from.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, the terminology of it. But what I'm saying is that when he began to describe the women that these high value men wanted, it still wasn't our population. It still wasn't our demographic. And it was meant to punch down on black women to say, stop desiring this group of men because this group of men is not available to you. You need to get the guy who doesn't have as much education as you. You need to get the guy. So I mean, he validated, he qualified what he was saying. So, like you said, when you get these women and you pull back these exes, it's a lot of men that don't have access to those resources, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, because that population has been rewarded with the majority of women, that is why we see that population growing and spreading dust in everybody else's community. This is the reason why men don't feel the need to go to college, why they don't feel the need to be employed, why they don't feel the need to compete with women in an open market, because I can just go lay on her couch, dig her down, you know, give her that huge D, and she's gonna cook. I'm gonna be able to take the kids. Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be that to give her the big D, and I'm gonna be able to drink the kids' juice boxes. She's gonna be incentivized and getting these
Capri Sun is
benefits. And
fire, by the way.
yeah, yeah. And then other guys saw that and said, I've got a huge D. I would like some juice box and fruit snacks too.
But while it's women, we're talking about a small number of men, though. So Pew
Mm,
Research study just came out. 60% of women claim that they're in a relationship, while only 30% of men claim that they're in a relationship.
facts,
Now,
facts,
this is from
facts.
the ages of 18 to 28, right?
29. Yeah.
29.
Mhm.
Now, I think some explanations for this. I hate univariate analysis, right? But we got the information we got. Some explanation for this. It could be okay. Women are dating older. Have we thought about lesbian relationships, right?
Rashawn
Also,
said that it's just polygamy. Rashawn said every man got 3 women, and that's the
Forced
cause.
but
polygamy. Forced polygamy is
but
what I said.
but
Not
if we're to be completely honest, I have to be honest. I've been in plenty of situations with women where I was single and they thought it was a relationship. So that's a part of it as well. And if we look at it in our
delusion.
community, in our community, convicts have 3 times the amount of kids than middle class men. 3 times the amount. So it's nice to say that, you know, all these
These
men
are the
fit into the
gladiators of
mandate.
society. If we were in a different society, these same dudes that are locked up in these cages would have every guy's woman anyway.
We don't see that
Anyway.
we don't see that reflected in other communities though. And we don't
Very
see that
true.
reflected in other
That's why
societies.
they re-engineered this society to make it the smartest man wins the spoils instead of the strongest, most brute. Because really, they got this country by brute strength. Okay, by hook and crook and war and bloodshed. But then they prop themselves up to live soft life. I'm just saying. We have more men that are inside of call centers now. They're not even on the corner anymore, like where they used to sling dope. Like they don't even do that anymore. They're all in call centers now. So my point in what I'm saying, I get what you're saying fundamentally. I think we're saying the same thing just from a different perspective. And I think
I don't
that,
know.
and I don't even know how we got all the way down here because we had 21 questions, but I just
21,
want to
20.
say 21, 21. I just want to say that I do feel like the answer is somewhere between what we're all saying. But I am down in the country. I told men on my social media, I said, if y'all really want these women to submit, put them in the country. Because I need your help now. Now I listen. Now I listen. If somebody can get this back up here for me and there's some stuff going on in the backyard, I'll listen. See?
Can I
See?
can I ask you a question in response to that?
Always.
Um, do you think that that's something that men want? is that an appealing deal to men in the conversation of incentivization? So I'll put it to you like this. When Kevin Samuels got up and said, if you want a man that makes this, this, and that, you need to be this. And women said, nigga, what?
What? Yeah, because we didn't
Right?
want that guy anyway. It's weird
What?
that
No,
people keep thinking we want him.
well, I'm just based off of what they said. Based off of what they
Yeah,
said. Because enough women wanted it to call into the show.
yeah.
So
He
there's
paid
there's
those
a there's
women.
he did not pay
It
those
wasn't a
women.
real response. Okay, some of them have come
It was
forward and
not.
said, we was caping, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but what I'll say is this: the reason that has a gut reaction to that, right?
Mhm.
The reason that has a gut reaction to that is because that may not be as much of an incentivization as it sounds like.
Right, right.
So I'm saying to them, to a man hearing that, is the incentivization. Um, I'll be what you want me to be when my conditions are met
Met.
versus a woman that may just already be that.
Right, 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 right. Well, I have more rings than Jordan, so I can kind of speak to this. I do. Like I literally I do. People this dude said that to me. He's like, "You must be a despicable woman." I was like, try it and see." So, here's my thoughts. I hear from the men who throw themselves at my feet to be scorched by my disdain that they want to be needed. In order for me to need you, I would have to have a need. And what you're hearing women say is, well, we're making our own money. They're like, we need women that can cook. And it's like, but you can't cook. You know what I'm saying? We're wanting this equalness in our relationships. And that's what everybody's calling for is, can you do what I can do, or either do what I can't do while I'm doing for you what you can't do? So this is about us putting ourselves in as relationship partners into a situation to need each other. You see what I'm saying? If you're actually doing real work and you're not at the call center with me and I'm at home, like what you're saying, now you're coming home to me providing something for you that you need because you were out of the house all day. Now you need someone that's in the home that can cook for you. But if you're gone and I'm gone, then we'll do scissors, rock, paper for who cooks tonight. So that's what I'm saying. Now that I'm in the country and I have a need, you see, now I can provide for someone else what they need because we have a dependency. It's not a codependency because that would be dangerous. It's an interdependency. So I need someone with a skill set I don't have to come in now and partner these things. Now, before I was a homeowner, when I didn't have to fix stuff and I could just call the rental office and say, send somebody, they sent a man. They send me a man over and he would fix that for me. You know what I'm saying? But now I need my own man. They can fix things for me. Yeah. And the need that we have for men determines what type of man we're going to choose and pick. Some women want a more nurturing man to stay home with the kids because they want to go out and do these things in a career. And so now that partnership is going to be based on what skill sets they're looking for in the other person. But I think the reason why we're having such a hard time partnering with each other is most people don't really have any needs. If I need sex, I get pornography, or I, find me someone who, if I need anything else, I go and get that. If I need food, I get a DoorDash. If I need, there's really no deep set needs. But if we go to a more agrarian society, because if you notice, that's what I keep bringing everything back to, is the need for us to
Taking everything back.
get out of the matrix and go back to actually needing to hunt for food. And then you'll see the respect for what men bring to this dynamic come back. You'll see the respect for what women do and come back to that dynamic, because back in the day, that one dude had 5 chicks. And if you wanted a chick, you had to compete with them for that, and so we've taken all element of competition out of males and males, females and females, and now males are competing against females for soft life. And it's a scarce resource.
I don't see that happening though.
I want to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, my bad.
Because what I hear, and Jeray, I respect and admire you greatly. But when you gave your incentivization,
torture me. He's about to,
that compliment sandwich, it's coming. It's coming.
I respect you, right?
And admire you. And admire you. I love the way you form your words. You have the best words. And Wireless Woman, same for you.
Best words.
But huge you guys words. Are playing Scrabble. playing
We
Scrabble.
are.
You're playing
We
word
are.
games. You're playing
How?
word games here because
Yeah.
the incentivization. I gotta take it back because y'all warped the entire concept. Men have to be activated. You do not activate men by incentivizing women to stay home. We need men to re-engage in life. We need men to re-engage in relationship. We need men to want to be able to work and want to work to take care of a family that they believe they can have. So you have to incentivize men. You can't make me want to go to work by making you want to stay home. That's not like what is that the Herzberg's hygiene factors. Like I can't I what you eat can't make me, defecate. It's not going to work like that. And even what you're saying doesn't work even with the current psychology. If a woman wants a man that makes that 30% up, she would have to already pair with him for her to leave the workforce and for him to get that bump from her leaving the workforce. So
Yeah.
that doesn't even
Yeah.
defeat the current psychology because currently he'd still be making at her level or below. Currently, she's never going to pair off with him. Even if she's saying, if I leave the workforce, he'll get a bump because she's going to think, well, that's just him taking my money. I need him to make more. That psychology is not going to leave simply because when she leaves the workforce, he gets the money. She's going to attribute that to her contribution. Well, you're just taking my money anyway. That's what I'm gifting to you by leaving the workforce. So there's no upfront incentivization for her to choose a man that's still not making 30% more simply because he's going to be granted her income when she leaves. It's not going to be seen that way. That's
Well,
the
that
first
happens in
thing.
the military. It happens in the military all the time. It's like, I don't know, in Texas, where I'm from, a lot of people
Okay.
are in the military, and they go to the military right after high school. They're 18. They're married by the time they're 19 because their pay goes up. They're incentivized to be married because of, like the pay scale changes based on marital status. So,
Is
like,
that for both
yeah, that
partners?
happens. That's for both
That's
partners,
for both
yes.
partners.
So both of them do
So
get a pay bump, regardless of gender and regardless of what gender the person you're married to is now as well.
so it's equal.
So
That's an equal incentive,
But,
it
but that's different than what we're
you're
talking about.
if you're talking about the military,
Bree, you lighting this chat up. I'm sorry. I'm
you
so
have to
amused.
consider the fact that that's not an open market. There's literally pay grades, and you have limited options
mhm.
as far as where the pay goes. So, like, although I do feel that that's not really comparable to America as a whole, it's kind of a bubble.
Okay, all right, and I get that, but as far as like okay, there's a bunch of different moving parts, and I want to go back to the incentivization that Rashawn was talking about, as far as like you can't get men to do anything by incentivizing women, and that's true, but kind of like what Miss Wireless Woman was saying is we don't it doesn't need to be easier for you. That we don't want the dude that took the path of least resistance to get there anyway. It doesn't make you any more attractive to be able to get the woman that you want in the life with that woman that you want anyway. Honestly, all of the incentivization that you need should be in the competition, in the competitiveness of becoming the person that you're supposed to be amongst the guys that you're around or within that workforce or whatever. So the removal of the women isn't necessarily for you to be able to perform better, but now you're just amongst other men, and
Compete
that's going
with
to sort
them.
itself out.
There you go.
Well, yes, to a certain degree, that is absolutely true. But I think there's a lot more moving variables that we got to consider. For one, um, I wasn't necessarily in favor of removing women out of the workforce as an incentivization, but it does bring up the interesting conversation of incentivization and what to do. Like I said before, I'm not entirely sure that what women say with the six figures things is true. It could just be after they've had their fun, then they want that guy. It could be that they're projecting. Who knows what it could be, right?
Mm.
But going off of saying that they want that, there's a whole different thing that we have to contend with. The world is now flat because of the internet.
Mm.
Now, that has manifested itself in ways on both sides. Like, we got sugar daddies on the female side, which is probably why some of you know, the women are in relationship with just older men. Like, if you got disposable income, I got 7 girlfriends. You know why? Because my paycheck says I got 7 girlfriends, right?
Hmm.
There's partly that, but the other response to that is passport bros. This is the first year that men have gotten registered for more passports than women, I think, in the history of the United States or something like that. So when we're in the conversation of incentivization, I think we should remove the word should, because we have no common denominator on morals and values anymore. Like,
Mm.
there's
Mm-hmm.
should is
Mm-hmm.
worthless.
Agreed.
So if we're talking about, what should be done, here's a reality. Whether you think these men are viable or not, for some reason, there are a bunch of men that are going overseas to get women. How
Okay.
do you incentivize men? So like, they're not playing in this game. They're not playing in this market. Now, me personally, is that something I would not necessarily first? What is this foreign women in America?
Mm.
Like, if you really wanted that, it doesn't make sense for me to go there. But for some reason, they feel like they're not getting what they want or need here,
Hmm.
and they're going overseas. That's an action. That's not talk, right?
But when
So
I said boy boycott though, Rashawn, what where your smoke for that? Because when I said boy boycott, you said I was wrong.
I don't have a problem with boycott, but yours, like you said earlier, was full of contradictions and like because you're seeing
Okay.
men, you're in a boy
Okay.
boycott, but you're seeing
I'm so
boys.
sorry to
It's
cut y'all off. I'm rude. I apologize. But Bree said 6 figures is vague too. Kevin Samuel said 6 figures was like 250K or higher. And if you take from the time that he expired and died, because he's probably somewhere decomposing in the ground, and you adjust for inflation to what that would be today, even based off of what the cat daddy said before he expired, it wouldn't be 250,000 now. That 250,000 ain't gonna support a
I
woman
thought it
and a
was
child.
100,000 or more, and he only
Yeah,
say he'd be based it off the city and the area that they were in and how many kids they wanted.
exactly. Because I was about to say that's that's like what Smokey Mama said. Make it enough. That ain't enough. That ain't enough.
No, no, well, the specifics changed based off of the specific woman he was
Yeah,
talking to.
yeah. Either way, that still ain't us. That's still such a small percentage of our community. And unfortunately, black women are race loyal. Because men ask me all the time, why you always talking about black men? Why you always talking about black men? Because I'm talking to black women and they're race loyal. Now, if we were to take that same concept, because see, we had the passports first. You got to remember, you can't be a felon and
Oh,
get a passport.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, no, no, no. They got no, no. You bring up wireless women. You bring up a fantastic point. Black women definitely had the passports first. All right, I'm Haitian. I got a lot of West Indian friends. We know what goes down in Jamaica. We know what goes
Talk to
down
the
in Jamaica, right?
people. Talk to the people
So,
because
so,
see, they will marry us over there for the citizenship, baby.
but,
Please tell the
but,
people.
but women aren't going over there for husbands.
right.
They may go over there for some Jamaican plantain pea, but they're not bringing back husbands like that. As a matter of fact, there's an economy over there for laying pipe. Like, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact, white women, old British white women go to Gambia to get theirs. Like, it's a pretty common thing, right?
Haven't been again,
So
man. Thanks for the tip.
yeah, I mean, if
If
you ever
you
want,
just stick the tip in, then I just need the tip. Thank you.
just a tip. So
I'm rude. Please
so
disregard me.
it goes back to the same thing. It's like, okay, cool. In when we're facing reality now, this is what it is. Um, whether we agree with these men being right or wrong, this is what they're doing, which amongst race loyal black
Yeah.
women shrinks the dating pool,
Yeah.
right? Because, like you said, you can't be a convict to get a passport. So the men that are leaving aren't necessarily the dangerous Dick Rodneys. They're not necessarily dangerous Dick Rodneys.
Right.
So if they're
But
not a
see,
good option,
we didn't weaponize the passport. Like Stella went and got her groove back and it didn't become like a whole movement. It didn't become a whole thing. And it's like it's being weaponized against us, the access. But at the end of the day, it's still the same mechanism in our mind. Like, because if you notice, most of us are like, okay. Like goodbye, because we want to see you compete. We don't really care. You tell us like we're gonna go lower the bar
That's
so we can go somewhere
Twitter.
else and get
Twitter
something
and TikTok
easier.
is
We're
set
like,
different.
okay,
You know what?
Twitter and
Maybe
TikTok
she
is
is
set
right
different.
though, because like I'm thinking about it, and I think the thing that's so gross about the Passport Bros is that they gave up on like a competition that they were losing.
If you okay,
It
so
does seem that way. Now, should we be mad
if you
about it?
want to view it that way, that's fine. But from them,
From who?
the Passport Bros mouth, it wasn't so much that they gave up on a competition that they were losing. They felt, what's the incentive for me to play in this game if I'm not getting what I want? So that's their argument. Now we can disagree with the argument, but that's their argument.
but no one was getting what they wanted. No one was getting what they wanted. I tell you right now, if I had 25 women pledge, right, to go find husbands in other countries, and 25 men pledge to do the same exact thing. Because you have to understand, this is where the competition is coming from. They have the money to do it, they have the resources to do it, they have the education to do it. They're bringing more as a package to the table because these guys that get up and leave, I get your point, but it's economics involved in it. It's all the things that Rashawn talked about, needing it to incentivize in order to put them in the position of dominance, to have the access to women, because it's not actually that they can't find the woman they want. I know y'all keep telling everybody that that's not the case. Like I
Why
said,
do
I
you
have
believe
six.
that's not
I
the
have
case?
6 of them myself. The problem is the competition for the woman that they want. That's what they're trying to alleviate. I can go and get this woman who will want me for my resources, which if I wanted you for your resources, I'd be a gold digger. But hey, so my resources are so
That's a disingenuous
slim.
argument.
I
That's
can
a
I can
disingenuous.
provide for this woman though, but see this woman, I can provide for her on $30,000 on $40,000 because she doesn't have access to making that kind of money on her own. So that's what I'm saying. We're making money too. We can go over there and get Winston or whatever
That's
his name
that's
was, but
happening
we
in
but we never
America.
weaponized that. We never did
But
that though.
y'all kind of did. You
But
cited
How?
how Stella got a groove back. It
Right.
became a major thing.
yeah,
It
Oh,
didn't
see
yeah,
become a
the
major thing.
it did
yeah, it
in the
did.
black
Who
Yeah,
community.
it
How Stella
did.
got her groove back.
who but here's the
Yeah.
thing, it was a movie, but it wasn't a phenomenon. Who got
It
a
wasn't a
Jamaican
movie.
husband?
You
Yeah, who got
just
a Jamaican
Oh,
oh
it's
no
husband?
no y'all
Who?
wasn't going for
not
husband. We
husbands, but
wanted
they were
different
going.
things from everybody wants different things. So
Okay.
trying to
Okay.
compare what
I'm
women
just
want
saying.
out of an outcome and what men want out of an outcome is that's kind of crazy. Like
It's what Bree said. They're getting more out of their dollar over there. So it's an economic decision more than anything else, which all of marriage and all of these decisions we make come back to the economics of it. Because, like you said, women have to come out of the workforce in order to fix the economic problem because the
yes,
economics is what incentivizes men to do better. So these men didn't do better. They didn't go get a degree. They went and got a passport. And then they went and got a woman that would take them without
Oh,
any of these resources
but that
based
doesn't.
on that.
if economics was the sole if economics were the sole problem, what you're talking about would make more sense. But economics is not the sole problem. Culture is also a problem because we already talked about the was
Access
it
is the issue.
the well,
I'm gonna
yes,
drink
and
water.
women.
I'm gonna drink water.
Please do that. Because if men have no access, why would they continue competing for something they do not have access to? That's silly. That's like
Yeah,
with the whole race thing. Black people can't no entry for black people. Let me tap dance outside until y'all let me in. That's silly. There's no logic to that at all. So if there's not going to be any access, why not go to where you can get access? If it's a physiological need, you should pursue it. But if women have put up a stone wall to
We
deny
just
you
said the same
access,
thing.
no,
We
we
just said the
didn't.
same exact thing.
We
We're
did not
saying
say
the
the
same
same thing.
thing. You're just
You
you're
keep
just
saying
painting
everybody's
yours
saying
with
the same
misogyny.
thing.
We said the same thing.
Oh my God. Okay.
Because you
well,
want men to win. Don't get me wrong. Like in this discussion, you have picked men for the win, and that's what's coloring the fact that we're saying the same thing and can't see it the same way. I agree with everything you said, and that's the reason why most of us women have said, "Okay, go, win, go where you are
I
appreciated.
didn't see
Go."
that on the
We're
internet.
we're not pushing back on this. We're like, okay,
What wireless woman? What the reason? So I've known like real passport bros in real life.
mm-hmm,
I didn't. No, they were passport bros. It was just my nigga so and so. Like I, I didn't know. So the reason I came across the passport bros thing, we did a video on it, is that I saw a bunch of black women talking about the passport bros. I saw them talking about then I started researching it, but my timeline was flooded with black women
Flooded.
talking about. So
Mhm.
if it was as you said that they were like, oh,
Mhm.
go in peace, that would be one thing.
Yeah, I
But
mean they
to bring it
started
back,
it, so don't get me wrong. They started it to incite us. We don't actually care because we don't
I
have
don't
husbands
think
like that.
I
Like
don't
I'm one
yeah,
of hold on, just hear
we
what I'm
do.
saying. I'm one of the women who's been married twice, so like I I know what's behind the curtain. I know when you go to Oz who the wizard really is. So I don't care. But most of us will live, breathe, and die unmarried. So it really didn't make a difference to us anyway. It really actually didn't. And most of these men that are going over there aren't bringing back wives. And if they do bring these women back as wives, they do to them what Winston did to Stella, and they just be like, "Now I'm over here. See you later. Goodbye." So y'all are being licked like a sucker, and we know that. So we don't actually care. We're waiting for y'all to exhaust yourself, and then eventually a lot of women will bring y'all back from that community. I don't take divested men back. Once they been divested and then they get run through and run over, and then they come back and they be like, "See, I'm looking for a black woman to take me now," and I'm like, "No, enjoy that." But my point is, see, because I picked women for the win. That's why me and him fight like we do, because he picked men for the win, and I get it. But ultimately, this path of least resistance is going to lead y'all to the place where all teenagers and unmature people end up, which is realizing that your parents were right and that they actually loved you by being hard
Right.
on you.
Thank you, Bree. Thank you. It just be the hypocrisy for me. It be
I
killing me. It be
did.
making
I did
Hold on.
divest. I'm complete.
Wait,
I
Hold
what?
did.
on. Well,
Here's the
yeah.
Hold
thing.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. She be full of cap. She be full of cap. She
It's
be full of cap.
different.
Lies.
It's different. But don't
Lies.
call me a liar. Don't call me
I
a
said
liar. It's
lies. I
totally
didn't
Wait,
call you
different.
a liar. Listen
okay.
to the
Like I
word. Listen to
said,
the word. Lies.
I would have been in that population of women who never got married if I didn't divest. And let me just say, the divestment is a little bit different because I never divested from my community. I was married interracially, but the actual divestment is to say that like there's no eligible partners in black men. It's not that, because desirability for black women is a very multifaceted thing. So as a dark skinned black, you got to spread that net a little bit wider if you expect to find a partnership and a mate. And I know men don't have to
Okay,
deal
guys.
with that type of thing, but we do.
Here's
I had
here's
a I
here's
had a white husband and I had a black husband, so I gave them an equal shot at this.
here's my only
Equal
issue. Here's my only
opportunity.
issue.
I'm an
Okay.
equal opportunity. Different.
I don't think we're being honest, intellectually honest with the conversation.
At
And I
all.
don't think we're not necessarily you. I'm talking in general. And I don't think
I didn't take it
we're
personal.
really hearing um why these guys are leaving, and we're not taking any, we're not going to get, not giving it any merit. We're kind of dismissing it. And the reason I say is this: I am a musician. I didn't realize that I was living in an alternate reality until I started actually talking to my friends that work in IT, because I never had time. I never had time, right? So it's like when I actually started talking to them, hanging out, and I started to realize the world that they lived in, I started to realize, like, no, my existence is an anomaly. And I had to accept that, even though Don and I have never seen anything you've just described to me, John. That is, with your situation, is probably a little bit more common than mine, right? And I'm not just necessarily going to take what you're saying and just call you an incel because you bad on your luck with women. Now, I think there's some things that are contributing to that that you probably don't want to acknowledge, and I'll probably talk to you about that. But I do have to take into consideration what you're saying on some level at face value and then break it down. So if we're talking about, at the end of the day, these men are leaving. You have to have, you can't get a passport if you're convict, right? So they're going over these seas, and we're saying that they're just going over there financially, yada yada yada, and we're disregarding all the reasons that they're saying. What happens to the guy that doesn't want to necessarily leave but wants those same things that he's claiming from women here? Like what does he do?
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say. What happens to the women? and they're saying they want these soft submissive women, but the soft submissive women come out of communities where their men provide and protect them. So if our men in large droves, I'm not saying there's not a I'm not saying there's not a good reason for why they're doing it. I'm saying, like, back to the top of what I was saying, there's an interdependence here. And as we deconstruct and divest and do all that, that's why I say I was never divested. I would have married a black or white man. I never went over there like, oh, these men are better and they treat me better and they have access to more resources. And so I am choosing to pick from this group of men and not this group of men because, so it's a little bit different. And my message to black women is that unfortunately, we don't want to have to be reactionary, but for every equal and opposite react, there is an opposite reaction. So you're right, and there's fault on both sides. One thing I'm willing to always do is find what the middle is and say, okay, there is a responsibility. I did not take responsibility for women the other night, Rashawn, and say, okay, we
No.
have to be. Oh, lies. Don't get over here in front of company. Don't show out in front of company. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Because I said women have to start choosing men that make great partners for them instead of being on that same tip that, like, okay, well, if men want then we're going to be like this and we're going to be like that. So I do feel like the answer, like I said, is somewhere between what we're all saying. That's why I never shoot down someone saying something I don't agree with, because there's truth in it. There's answer in it. So we've talked all the way around it and showed all the different viewpoints. Some people are going to gravitate towards what Rashawn said. You said, they're gonna gravitate towards the different opinions that we have based on their life experience. Because when I talk to black men about why they divested, they never say it's money. They never say those women are more submissive. Like, when we actually had a one-on-one conversation, what they tell me is black women didn't want me. They didn't want me. They called me African booty
Yeah.
scratcher in middle school. They went, they didn't want. I asked one to the prom, and she turned me down in front of everybody and threw my lunch tray in the middle of the floor. And I'm like, okay, but here's the problem. They called me African booty scratcher too. They told me that my mama was so black that, like, we've been doing this to each other though. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did I end up with a non-black man? Because black men were saying to me, oh, you can suck me off, but I can't be with you because you're too dark skinned. I heard that, and people tell me that's not a real thing, but I'm like, you can't invalidate my actual experience. I was in college. I went to a HBCU. And baby, I could have went to a PWI for the amount of play I got in college. Everybody was like, "You are too dark. You are too dark. You are too dark. You are too." I'll get in the dark with you, but once these lights come on, baby, I can't do it. So we can do stuff in the dark with your darkness. I was Charlie Murphy on campus, and it's weird because I don't really think I'm that dark. I don't think I'm really that dark, but my point is, everybody's experiences are shaping that, but you got to get and go to therapy. This thing me and Rashawn talk about, deal with it, love yourself, and then you can love other people that look like you. Because all this stuff, they're not going over there and learning these people's culture, learning these people's language. Now you got kids with somebody you don't understand, and now your kids are growing up in a society because you haven't built a culture for them to be accepted in. Now they're over there getting called names. This is just becoming a mess. It's becoming too complex of a problem. We've talked all the way around this and still ain't came to the root of what it is, because we're just building out when we need to deconstruct and deal with the infrastructure that's in place. Until we build a black community, we ain't gonna be nothing but niggas, period. And everybody is gonna capitalize off of it. They're gonna get big D. They're gonna work out their kinks. Because as a woman that date outside my race, let me tell you something. These colonizing ass white men are disgusting. We don't want that. We don't want that either. They're disgusting. They be like, yeah, so you like white caca? They're disgusting. Okay. And they know that they know we ain't shit in our community. So you get over there, honey, and they gonna treat you worse. Okay. Brad gonna treat you worse. So we all need to start treating each other better. If they want these white women and these women in other cultures to treat them better, black women have to start saying, you know what, these are good men. These are men to build a family with. And black men have to start saying, you know what, black women have value, and they're wise and insightful, and they're strong. Ooh, sorry. I said strong and I got choked up. They're smart, they're intelligent, they're, beautiful. And then everyone can appreciate with us our beauty and our, right now with us doing this, everybody's suffering. Everybody going into everybody else's community. Suffering. It's like Django out here. That nigga there, that nigga there. Like that's what we are in every community. It's because of this.
I feel it. I feel that. I felt all of it. You know me. Y'all know, you know what? It's all love because I think me and Wireless Women are kindred spirits a little bit
No,
because
no.
no, because I think there's a level of y'all just not gonna get it, and there's on your
Oh yeah,
side,
we're saying the
yeah,
same thing.
and we're saying the same thing. On your side, there's a level of we're just not gonna get it, and I think that's okay because we just weren't wired the same way. There is some of that that's
That's
just
okay.
like it's
And that's okay.
unaccessible to the other side or from the other side. So
But
that
then
that
there's parts of
exists.
reality that have to be ignored to accept that it's true.
No, there are parts of reality that I'll speak to. There are parts of reality that we don't have access to understanding. Right?
For
There,
sure.
it's just the
I'm talking
the
about what we do know.
okay. So what we do know, we'll go over. I mean,
We
do we
don't we
need a
don't have to go
rehash?
into it.
We
We
don't
don't
have
have to
to
go into it
rehash
now. We
because
don't have to
we're
go
on
into it.
question two.
Yeah,
We're on
yeah.
question two. But I think everybody's lying. I think everybody is lying and everybody is like blaming somebody else for something. So it's going to be hard to get to the root of anything when nobody's going to be honest about, the thing and what the actual thing is. Cuz like the numbers don't add up.
I don't think
The numbers
everybody's
don't
lying.
okay, I'll give you an example. And I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but like the most successful black men are with what race?
80% of them are with black women.
Okay, 80% of the most successful black men are with black women, and they're still here. So the most successful black men were able to find a viable black woman. So,
Right, but our
but
communities aren't built off of the hyper successful.
I'm not saying the communities are built off the hyper
Okay.
successful. It's just kind of like because the argument has been made like, well, it takes money to be able to get your passport and to be able to go somewhere else and to be able to buy a wife or like whatever. So it's been made into a thing where okay, well-to-do men, and when the conversation has kind of been focused on black men, so we could just stay there. But the
Yeah,
thing
we
has been
only
made
focus
into
on the well-to-do men when we talk about it, but then when we start
Right.
getting into it, then they want to be like, "Well, that's not all men." Okay, okay.
No, well, I'm not. I wasn't talking about what to do. Like, just because you have enough to have a passport doesn't mean you're a millionaire.
I understand that, but you are
Okay.
above a certain like financial threshold to be able to like do the thing though. Because
Right.
the argument is made like, oh,
And you're not a felon.
we're not talking about Rodneys because Rodneys don't have the funds to leave. So we are
No,
talking about a certain
well,
at least minimum status of man
for
being
sure.
able to have the
But that's
expendable.
but that's because the argument was made that they were broke. So that's the only reason I brought that up.
I don't think the problem is that they're broke. I think
He can
okay,
sell drugs and not be broke.
you could.
No, no. Used the argument was made that the passport bros were broke, and so I only brought it up. I said, yeah, and no, I think wireless women even said that. It's like she said, women have been passport sisters, I guess, before men were because you can't be a felon, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
So
yeah.
she originally brought that up. So I said, so since we're talking about passport bros, that's how
Yeah.
not being broke came into the conversation.
Okay.
I mean,
All
but
right.
even
I got
as
you.
a upwardly mobile, educated black woman, I would say at least about 60% of the black men that I've dated have been felons. Like we're picking out of the population. We're picking out of the population. We're making what we have
Felons,
access to work.
felons. Oh, felons. Oh, gotcha.
Felon. They've been felonious characters. They are men who have resided in the dormitories of a prison university. And my point is we're taking the we're using the access that we have access to, and we're making that work. You know what I'm saying? Like we're trying at least to make that work.
Making that
Question on
work
that.
by dating felons?
What I'm saying is this is the population that we have access to, because going back to y'all's cat daddy, he the one that told us if you guys do not want to die alone, if you don't want to die alone like I did, what you need to do is lower your expectations of these men. We were never told that, hey, go get another population of men. That's your problem. If you just get another population of men, you will have spouses. You know, we were told we were the problem and we need to lose weight and we need to, like, if we did all these things, because even this whole conversation has been polarized around why would these men leave? And we've paid 0.02% attention to why are Black women the largest group of new homeowners? Why are they the largest group of new business owners? Why are they the most educated? Why are women graduating 2-to-1 from it? We don't care about women's issues. We don't care at all about abortion rights. We don't care about women's, right. We don't talk about that. We just talk about
You
how do
loading the
we
mess
get
out of
men.
this.
how do we
We
get
it,
men to want us? That's it. That's
that
that's
the
the
question.
basis. How do we get
That
men to
wasn't the
want
basis
us?
at all. That
How
was
do
not
we
the
Yeah,
make
basis
them
at
feel
all.
comfortable? How
That
do
was
they
never the
win? No, that
basis.
was the
That was not the
beginning of the
basis.
conversation. You
No, it
said
wasn't. No, it
men
wasn't.
need welfare. Men need women to get out of the. You said, how do we incentivize men? This is all we've been talking about for a whole smooth hour and
But that's not what
17
you just said a
minutes.
moment ago. A moment ago was how do we make men want women? That's never been part of this conversation. What we said was how do we make women want men? That's been the conversation. Women needing to want men is the conversation. And how you get women to want men is for them to be attractive in some domain. And one of the main domains that men become attractive is in finance and economics. Even if all other things are not present, even if all other things are not present, if a man has economics, he is more likely to be able to pay her, and those relationships tend to last longer. And I know you keep talking about I date these felons, but did you marry any of the felons?
Elon Musk is divorced. Bill Gates
Elon
Everybody gets
is
got
divorced.
27
divorced.
kids.
Jeff
Are you
Bezos
trying to
is
make? Does it have to be 100%
divorced.
wireless woman? Does it have to be
I'm
100%?
saying I said it at the top of the thing. We don't care about y'all. Don't care about our jobs and our money. We don't care about that either.
What are you
We
talking
don't
about? That's not
care.
true. That's not
We,
true.
if
You're
that's
making
the
this
case,
up.
then how are these women with the Pookies and yeah? Okay, you know what? Next question.
But y'all
I'm
don't
sorry.
marry the Pookies and the Ray Rays. Y'all don't want to marry the Pookies and the Ray Rays. We gotta be honest about something here. Like something.
I'll concede to some of it. I'll concede to a little bit.
Thank you.
We'll bridge the gap. We'll bridge the gap because
Please.
I feel like I'm halfway between a little bit. Although Kendra Spears, I still feel that, but I am halfway between. I think we do care. I think we care that it makes sense. So if, like she was saying, we have to have a two-person income to be able to live a middle class life, and I at least want a middle class life, so I need you to make two of us worth of money
Right.
in order for me to not have to go to work. I
But the
want to not have to go to
alternative
work.
is
I
you're
want to
going
do
to
that.
die alone. The alternative is you're making it work on your one income. Like I said, I've been married, then I was divorced. I had to make it work. Then I got married again. And like we was getting to the money. I mean, everybody mad. And then he left and I had to make it work. So we will make it work in or out of that relationship. When you're married and you're going through the ups and downs, and I feel sometimes, Rashawn, me and you can't really come to an impasse about this because you never been married.
I know you've been doing the appeal to authority all night. You've been doing the appeal. I've dated the felons. I've been married. I respect that, and I'm sure.
That's
I'm
because
sure
I've
because I've
lived
never been married.
1,000 lives. That's why I'm so. That's
Sure,
why I
I'm
have so
so
much
sure.
hypocrisy because I've
I'm
lived
so
1,000
sure.
lives. But let me just say, we when you get married to make it work. It's for better, worse, rich or poor. All that. That was the point of the institution, was that whatever happens, we work together and we engineer a solution. So once you get married. Once you actually get married, no one cares how much money we don't care who makes what. Once a woman
What?
chooses that man and marries
What?
him, whatever happens, we gotta.
What?
No, the stats don't
Jesus
bear that.
Christ!
Most of the time we leave
The
because
Yo,
men
number one
cheat, not
reason for
because they weren't
divorce.
working.
No, the number one reason for divorce is money. That's the number
Okay.
one reason. That's just the
Okay.
census.
yo,
But
you
okay, are
you
there any
just throwing
stats
stuff
that you
tonight.
can? Are
Let's
there
see
any
what
stats
stick.
that you could provide that, because we know,
That
okay, so
qualify
a lot
that.
of
That
times money
quantify
has
that.
something to do with it, and also even more than money, social media is involved in almost every divorce. But
Facts.
no, that's like factually, like,
Nowadays, well,
yeah,
yeah, I could definitely
it's
see that. I could
it's
definitely see that.
involved in every single
Mhm.
divorce.
Mhm.
So as far as finances go, is there a stat as to what happened financially, or like how much
It made the
below
woman
the
leave.
financial standard
Mhm.
they
some of
dipped?
some of the things is that women are 7 times more likely to divorce if she gets a promotion or makes more money than their husband. So after that point, she gets a promotion or makes more money than their husband. Women
Yeah.
are 7 times likely to divorce.
Yeah, but
Um,
men get promotions and make more money and then trade their starter wife out and go get somebody younger and prettier too. So the money aspect has nothing to do with it. People's level of commitment is the
So there's
issue.
no reason for anything, yo.
Stats don't bear that out. And, like, does that happen? Absolutely. But what we see in greater numbers
Yo.
is one thing. So if we were to address it, we have to address it in triage. Like if you get into a car accident right now, first thing I'm not going to tell you is like, man, we need to replace this radiator if you got no front end. Or like, oh, we need a paint job and there's no front end. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I that does happen absolutely. Wireless woman absolutely happens, but that is a minority compared to how much women divorce men
The
over money.
prophet Kanye
I don't know.
said, "When he
Is
gets
it
on, he leave your ass for a white girl."
It
No, I'm
doesn't
just-
matter
oh
if
my
you
God.
die alone, because some people die in farm tractor accidents. Like it's
Mhm.
like it'd be like the wildest leaks. Like, yo, like come on, yo. It don't matter if you die, because you might die of asphyxiation when you're on a spacewalk on the International Space Station. Like, come on, we got come on.
Can we? I think the divorce conversation. I've spent a lot of time like thinking about it, like more recently, just because like the women that work in the office with me like are just miserable people. So like I spend 6 hours a day thinking about like what would happen. Anyway, I wonder about, and I don't believe in divorce. Kind of like if you did it like personally, this is a personal view. My parents messed me up at 13 when they divorced, so I just don't believe in it. But like how much of it? Okay, money is involved, and all of a sudden I make 30% more than you. How have you played into the next 8 months of us being together, and how you treated me based on your feelings of self-worth, or how has that
I think that's been the
evolved?
narrative for a long time.
I'm not regardless of if it's a narrative that's being used or not. I've witnessed men that are unhappy with their status in their relationship
Mhm.
drive women away. I've witnessed it in real
Yes,
life.
that can definitely
So
happen.
I
can
just
I
wonder.
piggyback on what you said?
Okay, go ahead.
When my first ex husband, the starter husband, was out of work, I went to work. It's a partnership. It's what we do. I believe in divorce. I love it. I thank God for it.
Mhm.
And how hypocritical that is. And but I'm when I'm married, I'm down in that. And so I went to work, and I would come home and he'd be in the spot where I left him. And his inability to have access to gainful employment made him angry, made him bitter, made him disenfranchised. And it put a lot of extra pressure on me. He would say things like, "You don't make me feel like a man," because he wasn't working. Now, nothing about our relationship had changed. I was never making him feel like a man. But the absence of anyone else that made him feel like a man, like being able to get a promotion on the job, being able to go out with the boys and do that type of stuff, because he had no money. I had to give him an allowance.
Mhm.
And he felt emasculated by that, which we don't have a word for, being like effeminated by the fact that I was out there having to work and do what I had to do. But that's the place where the cheating starts to come in, because you want to be a man somewhere to somebody, and
Mhm.
that's where the competition comes in. You know what I mean? So I think there's more to that factor. Like what she was saying, there's certain parts of it that's immeasurable, and I think that's where that whole
It's
thing
really
comes
hard.
in.
It's
It's
really hard to
measurable.
quantify. So
Mhm.
It's measurable.
of the people I've talked to that have been in that situation where the woman made more, it's crazy. Like, because I've had a few friends where that's happened, right? From the woman's side, it's exactly what both of y'all just said. From the man's
Mhm.
side, it was, boy, she started acting different around the house.
Mhm.
I
And
can't
I'm not
tell
gonna say that
you.
isn't the case, because if
I
I'm
can't,
working,
right,
I
I
come home,
can't,
I'm tired.
so I can't tell you. I can't tell you what's what. Here's what I can say though. When women make more, they divorce. When men make more, they do not. So when we're talking about the greater effect, it kind of doesn't matter.
Shouldn't that just be just from incentivization standpoint? Shouldn't that just be incentive to make more? Like, and I know that's a really okay. That was like that's a mean take, right? That's like a trash argument. I
It's not
can
enough
Mhm.
gold. You don't have enough
no
gold. Go
no,
get
but
some more
like
gold.
you wanna
Just
you're
make it, print
happy.
it, print it.
Are you happy being married to me? Well, I got a promotion. I got a raise. If you want to still be happy and if you want to still be married, like you want to be in you're incentivized by this like good dynamic and this good life that we've had, then why not be competitive in that
I'm
sense?
so glad you said that. I'm so glad
Thank
you
you.
said that. Let's bring it back full circle. In a
Women got
world
to
of
be put
no
out the
fault,
workforce.
in a world,
That's where we've landed.
He been
in
he
a
been
world of
waiting a whole hour to say that.
in a world of no fault divorce where a woman can leave for reasons like these, is that an incentivization for men to even get married? So like, if we talk, because once again I said the conversation of should that the ship has sailed, that ship is left of a long time ago. All we have is incentivization and de-incentivization.
Mhm.
So right now, what we do have is this is supposed to be a permanent thing,
Mhm.
and it will be broken most of the time by women, statistically, not just statistically,
Mhm.
for reasons such as this, regardless of what happened, it will be broken by women. And I don't really have any security in this. Why would I play this game?
Just make
I
more.
think that's yeah. Just make more. No, but I think and I only ask these questions because I'm trying to think of it. I'm trying to think of it from the male point of view, and I think there's more carrot stick involved with with men. Just like if you
Mhm.
train a dog to do tricks, it's different than training a cat to do tricks.
Mhm.
Because you can't
Mhm.
you could hit the dog with the newspaper, but you hit a cat with a newspaper, it'll stalk you at
You gonna
night.
fight.
It's like it's a
Mhm.
different it's a different thing.
Whole different
So
creature.
Mhm.
the incentivizing a woman is based on emotions and based on just advertising to a woman versus advertising to a man. But
Mhm.
with the carrot stick thing, and it's like how to have the best life that you could possibly gain access to. There is incentivization does include negative reinforcement for
Mhm.
men. I
Mhm.
don't think that really exists as much for women. So
Mhm.
knowing that there is a possible outcome for your whole life to fall out of the bottom of itself,
Mhm.
doesn't that then
But that's always been a
incentivize
thing.
you?
Married men on average make more money than single men.
They sure do
Have
because they're
a family.
incentivized to.
That already exists. So what I'm
Well,
saying is
I have two. I have two. Oof.
okay, oh, my bad, Wireless. My bad. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. I want to. I'm sorry because I'm rude. I do that. I apologize. It's because I'm 41, and I think I may
Oh,
be in early stages of dementia. So I'll just
energy.
forget what I'm gonna say. So yeah, I
No,
finally figured out what it was. I'm gonna tell you after. I'm gonna tell you after air, Rashawn. But I finally figured out why I can't remember whole gaps of my life. And
Hmm.
they said it was because I had blocked it because of trauma, but that's actually not it.
Okay.
Anyway, I digress.
it's like a
Literally.
story then. You tell me about
There's
that.
such.
I you said why would men marry considering that women are going to come in and deconstruct everything that it took them 12 years to build, right? 12 years a slave and now boom. All right. So, in an individualistic marriage, which is the phase that we're in, because we have to understand these things from a study level, which was what you said. If you could quantify these things. So, we had institutional marriage. We had institutional marriage where the state was made decisions and who could and could not get married, because there was once upon a time when you couldn't marry who you loved. You had to marry who the state told you to marry. And then we had companionate marriage, and companionate marriage was like, well, our families get along. We have, there was a social element of it, but then we moved to individualistic marriage, which says what's in it for me. Now, that is fine for a woman to be in an individualistic marriage because we are a part of the sexual exchange theory, which is that we trade our bodies, our youth, and our beauty for the protection and resources of men, right? Fundamentally speaking. But here's the problem. Here's where we hit the issue. Men, you said I can't say the word should, historically have been the builders of institutions. So when we're in this situation of individualistic marriage, like you said, women are coming in and out, men are coming in and out, and now the institution is starting to say, who raises the children? What do we do about falling further and further as Black people behind in the wealth gap? Because we're talking about a gender pay gap, but what about the racial wealth gap? And while we're having these discussions about, which came first, the chicken or the egg, we're falling behind in industrialization. We're falling behind, and we're really selling ourselves into a sort of social slavery in that respect. So I think that while there should be incentives for men to marry, there should be this, there should be that, there just isn't. And there just comes a certain point where, like to your point that you were making, we have to just say, okay, I'm married, I'm sticking in, divorce isn't an option, children have to be raised, someone's going to have to retire. And my second point to wrap that all up is, and I have told my he calls me a plight supremacist, but I've told my story over here about, when my stepfather died. Women will end up dying alone anyway, because more often than not, we're going to live longer than the men that we're espoused to anyway. We're going to care for him in the last years of his life. If we don't put him in hospice, and we actually, my mom, my stepfather went to hospice. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want his family to have access to him. He wanted her to take care of him alone. And my mom was never a great cook, some of these things that men tell me they need to marry a woman. She was never any of those things, but she kept his business handled at the end of his life. She took care of him without any assistance from any of his family, because that was his wish and that was his desire. And she did all of those things up to the point that he died. And now she's taking care of herself now that he has passed. So you have to pick a woman that has that type of endurance, that has that type of skill set, that has that type of desire when it comes to why she came to the table to marry you. When I married my second ex-husband, my Black husband, this was the man that I could feed applesauce to. This was the man that I could take to dialysis. This is the man that I would want to hold my hand if they said it's cancer. That's companionate marriage, because the point was for y'all to make it to the end together. not how you started, but how you finished. And we just never have these discussions about what marriage actually is and what it's supposed to be. So of course we don't know how to pick a partner that you can win a race with. She might not have, she might be, but if you can win the race with her, that was the point.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's an important thing. And I think, I'm gonna be honest, I think that guys, here's what I will say. A lot of guys today seem not to know. It's a catch-all. It's kind of weird. So I'm running into guys that can't necessarily tell a wife, or they'll tell me the story about this girl. It's like, man, this crazy thing happened to me, and I'm like, yeah, man, tell me about the story. And they tell me, and I'm just like, well, she was a thoroughbred hoe. Like, why did you cuff her? Like, why did you put that much into her? So fair enough, right? That being said, in general, what I've noticed is that there tends to be a difference between the women that guys have as jump offs versus what they consider a wifey. And a lot of times what I've seen is guys are willing to sacrifice the looks and yada 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 to get a wife. So that's absolutely true. I don't know if that's changed a little bit in recent times, but I thought that was kind of generally the case.
Yeah, to Dre's point, I'm sorry, you Dre? Who's Renee?
I'm Renee.
Okay, so to Dre's point, social media. It went out and got these women, and it changed access. Like y'all keep telling us that, but you got access to reach across the globe, across the planet to this, and now you're seeing it. They're bringing it to you. It's in your eye gates. It's in your ear gates. You seeing other people get to it, and it's like, well, I want that too. Same thing with the millionaire status. Whenever people tell me I want to be a millionaire, and I tell them because I'm a financial advisor in the belly of capitalism, and I tell people what it actually costs them to be a millionaire, they swear I'm lying. They swear I'm making it up. There's no way. Like, I can totally do this. I'm gonna totally be a millionaire. My life is. I've been waiting on this moment, and I'm telling these people, like, live your life, because probably not. Just based on some of the things you said to me, because it's a value system. They think I'm just gonna make money, and they don't understand it's a value system. I could give you $1,000,000 today. You will be broke in less than a year.
Yeah,
I can just tell
absolutely.
that by talking to you. And so it's the same thing. These people could find wives and they wouldn't know what to do with them, because we're socially engineered not to understand even the concept of it. Marriage was a middle class thing. And I've actually revised, I'm going to do a whole series. I've actually revised my views on marriage, because I don't think I'm going to marry again. And I got a video
What'd you
about
say?
manifesting my third husband, but nope, never mind. I ain't going to do it again.
And look, I say for the people that want to make the decisions that they want, it's fine. I am not a big fan of you making a decision for something and then going on the internet crying about the results of it, right? So that's both sides. I'll be honest, I see more women crying than I do men. But I just came across the incel portion of the internet, so I'm seeing more men. So so I don't know. I don't know anymore. Like, I don't know.
Hey.
But the numbers tell a story for sure. But anyway,
Mhm.
we've digressed far enough, bro. Like, you go ahead.
Question 3.
Okay.
Question
No, like I said, I like
2.5.
the question to just get to a jumping off point where a conversation just takes place. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely
yeah,
not trying
yeah.
to work through these
And I think it's good for everyone to hear all of our perspectives and points of view. I really do. Like, I'm enriched by people that I don't necessarily agree with, because either I got to come to the middle or I got to make my argument stronger. Either way, I need to, work
Oh,
on
for
myself.
sure.
And this is how we
Fair
do the
enough.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to point out something that wireless woman has said, because again, in what you be saying, it'd be like the key to what you're saying be in what you're saying. It's so funny. So it's like, scared. You said you want people to be able to pick companionately. We need to be able to pick companions. Well, scarcity mindset makes people bad pickers. If you don't feel confident in the availability of options because you're locked out of a market, you're going to pick the lowest hanging fruit.
Absolutely.
So automatically, because we've already established that men are kind of locked out there. So certain groups of men are not wanted anyway and don't make enough, or they're not desirable, whatever reason, they're locked out. Those men are never going to be good pickers. They're never going to be able to pick companionly, because they got to pick whoever's available. That's just the way life is
Well,
set
she
up.
just said that. She just said that about women. She
Yep.
said because we've
Thank
been
you.
fed the whole buy a dog and die alone thing, that we have to lower
We're
our
picking out of
standards
scarcity
because
too. That's
we're
why I
picking at,
wasn't
yeah.
gonna do it. I was like, let me try some other
Right, but
comedians.
like
No, but
one
that's the
one
only reason
one
she brought up the felon thing, was because she was saying we're in a position where we have to pick who we normally wouldn't, because we have been told that we couldn't get what we actually want.
No, we
right.
can't.
That's
I
that,
She
can't.
that's
I
all.
she
can't
said
speak
that.
for nobody else.
She
I
said it
know I
twice.
can't. So
That's all great, and that's talking about women. Now I was talking about men, because women actually do have way more access available to them, because they can even
see,
deal
he gonna do
even
it
deal
every
with the
time.
felons.
He gonna do it
Even they
every
can,
time.
because she said I've dated
They
6
do,
felons,
though.
which means you still have access to the felons. On the opposite end, the woman equivalent of a felon will not date the same equivalent of a man. So we
Yeah,
can we can
not at all.
pretend that we can pretend reality is not what it is, but the scarcity is real for men and perceived for women.
And
Access to sex.
you asked me, did I marry any of those felons? And the answer was yes.
Okay,
Just so that you know.
congratulations.
Just so that you know. I know, because you asked, so I never did answer the question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let him
So
cook.
to finish the thought that I was going for, you also talked about, I don't remember the terminology you used, but you said something about the beauty marketplace, or something about where women exchange beauty, sex, body for access to resources. And if that is also the case, it would make this logical, prudent sense for men to have the resources for them to trade their beauty for. If women have all their beauty and their body and the resources more than men, there's no need for men, which is where we are. We're currently in a place where, like you said earlier, move women to the country to manufacture a need for men. So you've essentially created the same thing that you fought against with me, like displacing women from the workforce. Creating a need for men is all I was advocating for. So in
Well,
a weird way, you were right. We are saying the same thing, but when I said it, You didn't like it. When you said it a different way, you were for it. So, yes, men need the opportunity and access to the capital because that's what women value from these relationships. Because as you said it, women trade their bodies and beauties for it. So, like,
I said
let's
protection. I said protection as well.
okay, you can add that too.
That deals with
asterisk.
emotional security, security in a relationship. If a guy makes tons of
Oh no,
money,
they ain't trading it for emotional security. I'll tell you
Stop
that
it.
right
You just
now.
said the felons. You
I'll
just
tell
said
you
the
that right now.
felons.
They definitely ain't trading it for emotional security. They definitely ain't doing that because they throwing the box Hail Mary Tom Brady into the end zone for toxic. I can verify that.
But I just wanted to point that out because I didn't know if I was going to be able to speak again. Because, I really do appreciate that. It has been a minute, hour. It's been over the 90-minute mark. And I know Wireless Woman said she had a thing. I think we got to a good end point. Um, as far as for me, I'm definitely not trying to work through those questions. By nature, women are the only ones that make choices. Men get chosen. Some men are just more likely to be chosen. But I do appreciate the good gent and lady of I digress and the lady of the wireless woman here to join me today. I'd like to get your final thoughts on the subject that we landed on. Accessibility in the relational and sexual marketplace. If we would not mind starting, I digress. Just Renee and Jeray, if you both would just take a few minutes and get your final thoughts out on that topic that we landed on.
I'm gonna be honest. I just think we're slow dancing in the burning room. I got popcorn. Like yeah, I'm pessimist prime, y'all. Like I'll talk about the thing. I'll speak to what I see. But at the end of the day, do I think it's gonna get better? Nah, I don't think it's gonna get any better. And I think it's gonna get far worse before there's any semblance of it getting better. And then, it's not gonna get better. That being said, um, I think I said this to Dre. I think there's a lack of understanding on the men's side of things for sure. And then, the classic rebuttal to that is like, oh, well, they don't understand on the woman's side of things. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I literally remember a time when a lot of this men need to be more emotionally available stuff was coming out. And it was popular discourse. When I tell you left, right, and center, all I saw was men at the very least pretending to be emotionally available. Like it was just a rise of the I'm not one of those guys, right? That was a reaction to that. For the very things that I'm seeing men say that they want in a woman, women don't react the same way. They go, "You have a small dick," and so men just go, "Wait, what? Hold on." But when you say you wanted a grass fed lion, I became one rare. So there's a little bit of a confusion when it comes to some of these conversations because it's like there's a mischaracterization of what guys are saying and what they actually want. Now, let's be honest, that doesn't necessarily mean that is true, but I don't think it's addressed. So I have no problem saying, hey, look, here's what you say you want. Here's why I disagree. Here's why I don't believe you actually want that. I'll give you a prime example. I said earlier, women said they want a man that makes six figures, but if you line up all her exes, her actions is not proving that. So I think some of this is probably projection, right? But I addressed the fact that you said that you wanted that. That doesn't really happen in the conversation. So I don't think it's ever going to progress because we're speaking past each other, generally speaking. And I don't think it's malicious. That's another thing I want to throw out. I don't think this is something that's being maliciously done. That's my takeaway from it.
Appreciate that, Renee. What about you, Jeray? And what's up, 100 watts?
I don't. I'm trying to keep it under 10 minutes. So I think that there's a lot of blame game and like I think it's kind of over for the people that are in the dating market right now, and then maybe there'll be like a master reset or whatever, and maybe I don't know, maybe we all need to focus on our daughters in trying to make sure that they're really nice between the ages of like fourth grade to like eighth grade so they don't break some guy's heart and they don't end up being toxic for the rest of their life. Maybe that we should just start as early as we can. I don't know the answer, but it just seems like there has to be something that can be done that can help other people 30 years from now. I don't think there's an answer for right now. Um, I think every dog has its day. It's men's day, and women have to hear about it. But it's the phrase is day, not decade, right? Okay, so that it's tiresome. And I think there's a lot of like men trying to like rub women's face in the thing. And I actually see a lot of women like trying to turn the corner on the understanding of like, the conversation of like trying to meet halfway a little bit. But I think a lot of men are really interested in it's black women's fault or it's women's fault or maybe if you weren't this or maybe if you were that or whatever, and it does cause a reaction. It causes that thing to be like, well, you have a small dick. Not that I'm saying that's right. I'm just saying like I think women feel attacked by the conversation that men are having because it's not conducive of a conversation that has results. I think that's the best way I could put it. But yeah, no, I think we're all we failed already, I don't have anything positive to add.
I hear you. I appreciate that, Jeray. And the infamous, notorious, the wireless woman. Would you give us your closing thoughts, please?
I feel attacked. Now, I think that's the very, very much so. But I think I think if we didn't believe on some level, because I'm part prophet and part poet. If we didn't believe on some level that even just putting these words in the atmosphere made things better, I don't think we would do it.
Fair enough.
I think we can make a change. I think we can make a difference. And mostly because I lead with racial progress, and people are like, it's over, it's done, we can't win it, it's over. But when I see black people pump $3 trillion into the economy, that makes white people rich. I know it can be done. It just requires a shift. It requires an understanding. It requires us wanting what we don't want more than what we do. And I think a lot of people talk about, marriage, relationship, economic, all these different things. But when you sit down one-on-one with people, the one thing I do is my platform isn't huge because I can't always talk to everybody. People want a certain thing when they come to you, and I can't give everybody what they want. But when I sit down one on one and I make it personal with people, what do you actually want? Like when you started talking, Renee, what I wanted to say, people think I'm never listening, and I am, was what can we do? But then when I hear you say behind it, I don't think it can get any better. Then you start to realize why we come to these impasses in conversation, because you and I have to agree on a goal and objective. We have to say at a certain point we can make it better. Because once people say that, that's where the divorce comes from. That's actually what the divorce was about. When they both said it can't get any better. I did this, you did that. I did this, you did that. It didn't work. It can't get any better. But as long as those two people come and say it could be better than this tomorrow, they'll stay. As long as they say, well, it could turn around tomorrow and you could get a job and things will be better. Well, it could turn around tomorrow and you go to therapy and it could get a little bit better. They will stay in the fight. And my biggest thing, if I could give anything to this that doesn't take 10 minutes, would be to say, stay in the fight. If one marriage wins, like instead of you being a 13-year-old girl with divorced parents, if we can give a 13-year-old girl a family that can stay intact, that can not only survive the generation, but build out, because we're seeing a lot of families break up behind the generation. Big mama ain't talking to people and the cousins done fell out. And if we can use the smallest unit of control, our locus of control, to make any change at all, to make any reverberation, that's how we have to see it. I'm a kid of the 80s. We had the whole what do you call it, the never ending story. And at the end, all he had was that one little pebble. And he's like, you know, all of it is gone. She's like, all of it is gone. She was like, but she was like, this is enough. This is enough to start building a new world. So conversations like this, thank you, Rashawn, for bringing us all in here together. You know, however charged people get, this is that little pebble that says we can do it. We can rebuild it. We can start again.
Can I clarify something? When I say I don't think it's going to get better, I mean in general. So I think the best things are small numbers, right? And as far as like interpersonal things, like I'm in a weird position because, like I said, when I came across those guys in IT or whatever, like I don't have y'all's problems. You know what I'm saying? So my biggest thing has been trying to understand what the thing that you're going through is. But if you want me to be honest, you'll be like, man, you feel me? I'll be like, nah, I don't necessarily go through that, right? But I feel you though. I feel what you're saying. Like I feel what you're saying. So I just want to say, just good things in small numbers.
I respect it. I appreciate everything that y'all brought to the table today. I do think it is an individual thing. That's why I always preach that same thing. It's got to be on the individual. Every individual. That's what the collective is made of. A bunch of individuals. There is no big, expansive group answer. Not with us having so many different perspectives, ideologies, philosophies, religions, agendas. There's just too much. There's too much diversity of thought to apply a patch that solves it for all of the different socioeconomic and demographic changes and groupings and all that stuff. It's just too much. But I do think conversations can help people solidify some of their stances, like prune some bad ideology, get firmer on some good. So I do think conversation is good for that. So that's what I believe in. But I really do appreciate everybody for being here. I am getting ready to head on out. Hit the outro. You know what the dude about to say? Go ahead. No, I'm gonna do Umar. You know, I like me some Umar.
Every time I'm on here, you try me.
It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't you. You're so vain. You probably think this outro's about you.
Oh, and thank you for the mayor reference because I love John Mayer, baby. Thank you for the. I digress. I'm gonna see y'all in the background.
Hey.
This is the start. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Who the fuck are you? Excuse me. I only debate my equals. All others I teach.
Need all the honest and 50s, let's spread it. I'm with this shit, so let's get it. Killing it, leaving nobody no medics. Rockstar like I'm Lenny Kravitz.
You have cooned so bad, my brother, that they damn near need to put your face in the dictionary next to the word coon. And I don't mean no disrespect, my brother. White man play you like he play safer. He play you, this is you. He ain't even got to be in the hood. He got this. He played Negroes like this. But they not speaking up against your oppression. I wish another coon, boot-licking, shut-jiving Uncle Tom will get in my face talking about we need to be patient.
We gotta sweat. Y'all don't want to sweat. Y'all don't want to sweat. Y'all just want to be comfortable.
It's none of your concern. You don't have the right to ask me where I've been. You don't have the right to know what I was doing. You messed up, and I took a break. And guess what? The next time you mess up, I'm going to take another break.